Today is another one of those January days to curl up with some hot tea. I have, it's one from Paka Teas called Feel New, and I've been drinking it for the last few weeks and loving it, actually. I like herbal tea, but this one I especially like. I've been drinking it all day. I just add more hot water and it's helped, it's been helping me reduce my coffee consumption, so that's good. And it's really comforting on a day like today. I have spent a lot of it sitting on the couch doing various tasks and had lots of cushions and comfy throws and things around me, and I have my cardigan on. It's just one of those days. Now, I often get to Friday and feel a bit worn out, and it's because I do work 12-hour days on Wednesdays and Thursdays. So by the time I get to Friday, I am feeling a bit worn out. So I had a very slow morning. I made some videos for my first communion class. Yay, I get to check some things off the list, which is really nice. Let's grab a pen. And I didn't have any errands to do today, but I've done some online shopping, which was probably a mistake, but bought a few too many craft materials perhaps. I have prepared some snacks. We made some chocolate Rice Krispie treat cluster things for some snacks, and just we have enough fruit and vegetables and wonderful things in the house, so I didn't need to do any shopping. But got that sorted for the weekend. And yeah, this weekend, not sure what's happening this weekend. No, I have my first communion class on Sunday via Zoom. I have my family Zoom call on Sunday, and I watch Mass on Sunday. But other than that, I think tomorrow will be a reading day. I'm just going to take this time, put it aside to do some spiritually minded reading. I have really been enjoying this week. I finally caught up on Tuesday night. I finally caught up with the Bible in a Year podcast. So on Tuesday I actually listened to the one that was meant for Tuesday, and so now I'm caught up, and that's really brilliant. I don't guarantee that I will be listening to it every day, but they're short enough that I can listen to a few at a time. Really enjoying the Bible in a Year podcast. I think it's just the right length, and I think Father Mike has just the right amount of commentary, and I can listen to it while I do the dishes or something, and it's really brilliant. It's really making me think a lot. Even though there are stories that I've heard so many times before, and things that I've read before, so it's really nice to hear it again and see things in a new light with his comments. And the other podcast that I started listening to this week, I never listened to podcasts, so it's a bit of a surprise, but I found Bishop Barron's podcast. So there's a particular one that I was listening to, and it was all about joy, which is what I'm all about, joy. And I really recommend that you check it out. Check out Bishop Barron and this book. Now, I'm not going to remember the name of the author right now, but I will post it down below so you can have a link. There's a part 1 and a part 2, so it does take a while to listen to, and there are many more that he's been doing lately, but this particular one has really spoke to me, and it really resonated with me, because it's been really, it feels like it's the theme of my last year or so, is really focusing on joy, really focusing on what kinds of things that I can do in my life to ensure that I am focusing on joy and allowing it in my life. And one of the things he mentioned was keeping the Sabbath. And so obviously that's a topic close to my heart. I'd like to talk to you today a bit about Sabbath keeping and how I've been doing it over the years. So there are many people of many different religions who keep the Sabbath in various ways, and I have been, I'll say I've been flexible, I've been eclectic, I've chopped and changed over the years. I think that the most important thing is that you set aside some time during the week to rest. And some people use that time just purely for leisure, just purely doing hobbies, or I don't know, watching TV or something like that. And some people set it aside for spiritual practice, like meditation and prayer, reading. Historically and currently, there are many Jews who follow a strict set of rules which prohibit quite a few things on the Sabbath, and the prohibitions are mainly around creation. So the prohibitions are against creating fire, so using electricity or lighting a fire, lighting a candle. So candles are lit before Sabbath begins, before sundown on Friday. And so they might not write with pens and pencils, might not create things using whether hobbies or work, for instance, artwork, writing, sewing. Can't think of anything else, but anything that's creating. So cooking, so maybe they'll put aside some food so that they don't need to cook it, or they'll put food in a slow cooker and have it cooked and fully cooked by Friday sundown, and then it stays in the slow cooker overnight, and then they can eat the stew the next day, and it's safe because it's been kept at a hot temperature. Same thing with kettles and things like that. So there are many ways to honor the Sabbath and keep the Sabbath, and I'm just going to share with you a few of the things I've done over the years, and I think this is going to be a part one of maybe 2 or 3, or I don't know, maybe it'll be ongoing. So I was raised Catholic, and I attended Mass and sang in the choir when I was young and as a teenager. And when I left high school, I'd say I probably stopped going to Mass. I don't remember going to Mass very much when I went to the University of New Hampshire. So I was there for 4 years, and I went to Mass a handful of times when I was there. I went when I was home with my family. I went regularly for breaks and things, but I didn't attend very often when I was in school. And one thing I did, though, I never lost my faith, and I regularly read the Bible, prayed every day, spoke to God every day. And the other thing that I really felt called to do was to honor the Sabbath. And one of the reasons was because as a student, your every day is kind of samey. You have a long to-do list of assignments, and there was never a break, never a let up, and it was hard for me to figure out when to stop and when to start. So I decided to set aside Saturday. It was an easy day for me to do, and a lot of the time I was living in an apartment on my own with a few people, and everybody was out doing their own thing. So it was very easy for me to do this, and I started very simply by saying I wasn't going to do any studying on Saturday. And at the time, I did my chores. I did my laundry early Saturday morning. I was a morning person, so I'd get up and do my laundry very early. And then I could spend the rest of the day just reading, and, well, we didn't have our own TVs and things necessarily back then. I didn't do much of that, but I would just spend the day reading. And I would read spiritual books. I'd read maybe novels if I wanted to, but mostly it was my kind of spiritual reading and meditation time. And I would journal. I often would journal because I usually journal every day. So those were sort of my parameters. I occasionally experimented with putting food aside and not cooking, and and various things like that. But I basically, as a student, that was my set of rules for myself. And it was really nice. It was really nice to be able to set that time aside, and I felt a relief that it was okay. It was okay to sit and read a book that wasn't part of my coursework. So it was a really nice time. And fast forward a few years, I was living in England, doing my career, and I had a very free and easy life in the sense that I lived on a farm in the countryside and didn't really see people on the weekend very much. I had a very busy career in a psychiatric hospital, and then I would come home and I'd have my country life. It was nice and relaxed, and I didn't necessarily feel the need to set aside Sabbath in particular, but I used the weekend in that way anyway. So it carried on, and after I had children, then I decided to be a bit more formal again about it, and I started researching more and looking into what other people were doing keeping the Sabbath. Mostly I was looking at Jewish customs, and I was looking at some Christian customs and customs from other religions that might not keep the Sabbath in the same way, but setting aside some time. And then I started again, and it was easiest for me because we go in the car to Mass on a Sunday. It was easiest for me to do this on Saturday, and so from sundown to sundown on Friday to sundown on Saturday, I would say no chores. I would often journal, and sometimes I use screens because I might I like use a Bible app, and I use a Divine Office on an app. So I'd use them sometimes. Sometimes it would just be basically a no agenda day. I wouldn't make a plan. I would just set aside the time and say, do what you want. And if I ended up painting a room or cleaning or decorating or something like that, doing some chores, I would usually regret it on Sunday because I'd lost my weekend, and I hadn't had that downtime, that time set aside to rest my body, to rest my spirit, and to reconnect with spirit. So those are very important to me. So over the years, I have done this in various ways. A few years ago, I finally relented and let the kids go to music school on a Saturday morning, and it was about 3 hours. And they, unfortunately, due to situation in the world, they've lost their scholarship this year, so they couldn't do it. So I've been able to return to my proper relaxing weekend now. But other than that, I as I say, I try to, for the most part, not have an agenda. That's the thing. I don't have a to-do list. I make sure that there's one day of the week where I don't. So that could be Saturday, that could be Sunday. And if not, then maybe I have to carve out a chunk of time on Friday or another day of the week where I at least spend half the day saying, okay, look, you could just let your hair down, sit down with a cup of tea and a good book and relax and read for a while. But I had also noticed that you can quickly get out of sync with your rhythm of prayer and prayer life if you don't set some parameters around it. So sometimes I just have to rein myself in a bit and say, okay, no, actually, you really do need to set this time aside. I'm just going to share a few quotes about the Sabbath with you. And as I say, this will just be part one. I think that I'll try to keep them short because otherwise I might ramble, as I have a tendency to do. So I'm going to read a quote from Exodus 20, verses 8 to 11. Remember the Sabbath day by keeping it holy. 6 days you shall labor and do all your work, but the seventh day is a Sabbath to the Lord your God. On it you shall not do any work, neither you nor your son or daughter, nor your male or female servant, nor your animals, nor any foreigner residing in your towns. For in 6 days the Lord made the heavens and the earth, the sea, and all that is in them. But he rested on the seventh day. Therefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and made it holy. And so you'll notice in the Old Testament that the seventh day is actually Saturday. However, a lot of Christians, and Catholics included, say that Sunday should be the Sabbath because it's the Lord's Day, because it's the day he rose from the dead. And I don't have a particular, say in what people do and how people manage this. I think that, both days would be great to set aside. So I have just a few rules for myself when I'm being really strict about it. And one is that I don't try to make anybody else keep the Sabbath, around me. I don't coerce or convince or fuss over people doing it, including my own children. And I try to avoid forcing anybody else to not keep the Sabbath. So for instance, I don't keep the Sabbath myself and not cook, but then order takeaway, because then it's forcing somebody else to cook on the Sabbath. And then after that, I don't necessarily have particular rules in that I try to avoid working. Now, some people say it's not that you can't work on the Sabbath. I mean, obviously priests and rabbis work on the Sabbath. Anybody who works in churches and temples and things, and doctors and nurses, they have to work. It's that it's sort of asking people to just set aside some time. So if you have to work on that day, maybe set aside some time on another day. I've talked to vicars who do that, just pick a Thursday and have a morning of rest, so that they have that time just to be by themselves with God, for instance. So, and the last thing is that I try to make it a family time. So I do spend a lot of time on my own, in the quiet, if I can, reading, but I am very available for my children. And if we want to go for a walk or something like that, then that's great. And we also try to end it, like Saturday night, we might have a movie night with popcorn. And as they get older, they seem to be arguing more over which movie to watch, but hopefully we can have a peaceful, fun evening together. So those are my beginning comments about the Sabbath, and I'd like to continue the conversation as the weeks go on. So let me know if you'd like to, by liking the video or commenting below if you're able. Let me know if you really want to continue this conversation and learn more about it over the coming weeks. And then the next topic I'd really like to discuss is Celtic Christianity and the way of life that I use. So again, thumbs up if you like those kinds of topics, and I can continue. Right. Well, I wish you a good Sabbath, and I just have to say I'll see you soon, and thanks for watching.